Hello everyone. In this video of React documentation, we're gonna learn about React hooks. In back then, before hooks, developer whoever have done reactJS, whoever used before like 16.8 before, used to face number of issues related to hooks. So some of those are mentioned in here. I will not go through each and individually, but instead of hooks we had like different state, like component did update or component did mount and component will mount, and those we would be using in class level components. However, in to use in function level, we can utilize these hooks. So there are different hooks available in reactJS. We can start with first. At a glance, we're gonna look at the state hooks. So the state hook is the syntax is we have something like called useState, and we define the initial state here, and in the constant it return a array which first value is our object itself, and second is the setter of the value. Before this state set state in the class component, we used to have something like this state equal to something we could have set, and to update the value we would have write this state dot set state something state.com, something like that. So in the functional component is very common now. We can use those hooks, use state. So let's see an example, and I hope that would be easy to understand. So we have this app.js here, and we are running this React app here. So we can have like maybe each one where the value for state is something we can set the value. So we need constant, let's say user set user use state, and this take the first object, right? So let's say name equal to test, age equal to 20. So here, as you see, we have the user object which initiate to this value, and set user will gonna set the value. So we can print the value itself here. So now if we just refresh, we see that the value is printed. Now let's say we want to change the value on click event, right? We can say button on click set user. We can set something name equal to hello age 304, right? Now if we so now if we click here, we see that the value get changed. Same thing in previously, if we wanted to do, we had to write something like this here. So we had to set a constructor where we set the initial value of the state. So instead of count, we're gonna set probably the user object, and then on click we had to set those value here using the this dot set state, whereby since it's a functional component, we can easily leverage of this useState. um, even this example will be more useful when we have like a child component. So let's say we have this component called um, maybe, let's say, what can be user.js, and so this is user component, right? Now let's say we import the user. Now we have this user component, right? Now we want to pass this set user, and we want to display the user object inside that set user. What we can do is we can just pass the user equal to user, and then we can pass also the set user as well. Set user equal to uh, set user. Now inside the user we can do the same thing, right? We can have, now here we can say user set user. Since it's we can return a fragment, or we can return. So now if let's we have two button here, and this one, let's say the user will be from user is 21. Okay, now let's see. You see we change to from user, but if we click here it changes to hello. So this is very useful when we have functional component. And let's go back to useEffect hooks. useEffect hooks will be utilizing similar functionality of your state. So we have like component on did mount, and component did update, and those kinds of hooks, right? Using the useEffect, we can have the similar functionality in our component. So let's start with the constructor, which is similar as a component did update, but this will be if we see a diagram, like for example this one, not this reacts still maybe lifecycle. Yeah, so if we see that we have the mounting, we have the update, and with the unmounted. However, in the mounted we have the constructor and receive props and should update. So this is bit complicated when we explain on the React version 16 how it was working. However, if we use the useEffect, now we will see that is more easier to do the same functionality, um, of like this, something like this. So component did update is similar as when we use effect without any parameter, and component did update, we can use similar, but we can pass those dependency, like which dependency we want to check if it's updated or not. We can pass those dependency inside the array parameter. However, if we have nothing inside, so any update happen on inside the component will gonna trigger those uh, method, whatever we declare inside this. Should component receive update, we can have something like react memorization. We're gonna learn about this later. That's not important also much. And component unmount is the whenever we receive this return, we're gonna run into this component did unmount. And this is a very useful picture, I would say. I'm gonna attach this picture also in the in the in the link. So let's start with the first. Uh, any update happen on the component, we want to run this, right? So we can say here use effect. So it's inside this it take a function. So now if we say that console.log use effect run here, right? Now if we anything change on this object, right, this will gonna run. So we can test it out. We have the console open. Okay, so first initially we send the value, right? Now every time we click, we'll see that this will gonna run. So something like this. But now again, let's say we have another state here. Use state, let's say 0 constant count set equal to. Okay, now if we put here something like this, this is a constructor and it will run only one time. We can try it out. Anytime we do, it doesn't change, right? But if we put this count, then you will see that it will only run first time and then it will also never run. But if we change this count variable, so instead of this, what we can do is we can do both thing. Let me here, and we can say set count maybe 10. Now if you notice, if we I click, the value of run is getting changed, right? So it is changing again. So every time I click it, this run will gonna impact, right? But 10 is remaining same all the time. That's why it's not changing. But let's say I do something like this, count plus 1. So now every time it will increase by 1, right? And I can print it here as well. Count. So now count is 0. So 1 2 3. So every time it is increasing, we see that is um, the print value is running here. So we could have done so much stuff here, like we could call API, or if it's a pagination page, we could do the pagination. Everything can be done on click of this, right? So this is very important. Next is like on the update we're going to see later, as I mentioned. We saw the dependencies, so it can be number of dependency or even count and user both. Okay, so it can be anything. So now even anything change is still the same. Now next is the component did unmount. This is very difficult to test, but we can have like a conditional statement to test it. So let's say we have this hook here, right? And then we say return, and then we can have a statement here. So whatever we run will gonna okay, sorry, this supposed to go here, my bad. So whatever we component dstr or this, right? So whenever this component will gonna get unmounted, we're gonna see this so if we load now, we won't see anything, even though we click, we see that every time it's rendered, right? um, let's check the I did a mistake. Something wrong. This is supposed to not run. Oh, okay. So we have this dependency here. Now if we see, if click, it doesn't have any impact, right? Similar, but you want to, we if we detach this, we can have like on click, we can have this value as is bell, maybe show, set show. Initially we set true. Now on click we do something like this. Set show. Now we say, so yeah, now we change to show, set show. Okay, now okay, user. Okay, now if we see, we initially is all are true, right? And you click, it is getting true and false. Now this one we only show only if this show is true, right? So what we can do is, if show, okay, show, we can do something like this. Now this, okay, so now we have this, we can remove this. Now if we click here, every time it's doing this, right? Now what do you do? Every time we click on show, want to disable, right? Now if we click on this button, this one not, if we see component get destroyed is run effect, component get destroyed. So this is how the component destroyed working. So every time we destroy the component, which is like we removing from the DOM object, this is being destroyed. So yeah, that's it. I hope this is useful. We'll see in the next video.